time for another edition of the Thought Project, and I've been on a break during the past week, so I hope you haven't missed too much while I've been gone. I'm going to be starting out today with the old song from Steve Nicks and Sheryl Crow, If You Ever Did Believe. It's a good duet. We'll play like part of it.
You've left me now and it's seasoned my soul. And with every step you take, I watch another part of you go. I continue to build the wall.
And I almost want to sing along with her. So strong, I fell to my knees. And I don't think I can handle this at all. Well, one more night I'd like to lie and hold you, yes, and feel. Make you smile, I'd like to be there for you. Have you forgotten me? The days roll by. Knew nothing about this. How much time, whoa, will I have to spend? My mind won't rest and I can't sleep. Oh, I think she said do and I said can't. Oops. Not even in my dreams. If you ever did believe for my sake, if you ever did believe, days roll by, nothing about this. How much time will I have to spend? And the days roll by, but nothing about this. How much time will I have to spend? I'm going to cut it off right there because we need to play the whole song. I'm actually going to be singing Mariah Carey's song, My All, at the end of the show today, but that was the teaser for this week, too, for the show. So, anyways, one thing I'll always point out to you about that video with Stevie Nicks and Sheryl Crow, is that Sheryl Crow very clearly uses hand placement in on the guitar. You can really tell that she's actually playing, as opposed to some people we're going to discuss later in the day in the episode that, there's a lot of performers today that are awfully bad attitudes who are pretty obviously not playing in their shows and they're using mechanical instruments. They think they're supposed to know what they're doing. Yeah, Sheryl Crow is one of those performers that, whether you like her or not politically, she's always actually played the guitar and always actually sang. It's just scary that some of these people really aren't, and they have such bad attitudes, and they're so clearly tied to criminal organizations. But we'll get into that later. The big thing today is that the Philippines Coast Guard reported that 4 Chinese Coast Guard ships in the Chinese force, their Navy, I think, no, the Chinese Coast Guard, not the Navy, sorry, I'm getting that kind of jumbled there. It's literally Coast Guard after Coast Guard there, which is kind of weird. But basically, the Philippines were trying to take supplies to their Marines at, what is this going to say? The second shoal. And so they performed at least I don't know, multiple maneuvers is the way they're describing it, to be hostile. Oh, they were saying 8 maneuvers to be hostile with the Philippines just for trying to take supplies to their own Marines, and that's just extremely aggressive. And it's called the PH Agrarian Resupply Mission. I'm not saying that right at all, but I don't speak Filipino, and this is a little bit difficult. So, anyways, I mean, the point is that essentially the Filipino government is saying that their Coast Guard couldn't get basic supplies to their Marines at a station due to China engaging in 8 different maneuvers aggressively with 4 different Chinese Coast Guard ships to stop them from doing it. And this is all in the South Sea. And of course, it's not really good news for anybody that they're being that aggressive. And I'm going to flip around back to that in a minute, but we need to talk about economics quickly. Interest rates are intensifying in the U.S. and some of the challenges cited are basically being for the U.S. economy anyways, is the UAW strike, which actually matters as opposed to SAG or WGA strike, which people probably would have welcomed actually, as far as most Americans are concerned, since the WGA and the SAG are not actual real organizations and actually front groups that mostly cause people problems, and most people would probably rather that they stopped functioning altogether. UAW, most people would like to get back to functioning. That would be nice. So higher gas prices, resumption of student loan payments, all point to consumers spending less, and as we head into the holidays. Of course, the restaurant industry in the U.S. is already suffering and is not making as much money as they'd hoped, and it's actually not recovered to the point that they were before the pandemic. Oh well. So that's what's going on in the U.S. And notably, one thing I need to note for most people that I don't think is discussed often enough is the fact that in the USA, as a U.S. citizen, it's important to be aware of the fact, just for your own personal knowledge, that China and Russian military aircraft pull up all the time. Either ships, their airplanes. I mean, it's a constant problem, especially in U.S. harbors, for China and Russia to just literally pull up ships and just try to dock and take over. So what happened in Iowa in the 80s is not abnormal, except in the fact that the Iowa government decided to let Russian submarines invade and dock there and stay, whereas you saw that Wisconsin and Illinois rejected them at the time. I have not gotten firm evidence that Missouri has ever welcomed in their ships, but I have a bad feeling they have. And I spent enough time talking with the U.S. government about it. I mean, you just got to know they pull up all the time to the U.S. like every day, and a lot of it isn't reported because it's so common. But they really do just literally pull their ships up, and they're like, "Okay, we're just gonna take over this harbor," you know. And it's terrifying. But it's been a problem in LA. It was a problem around DC. Like they really do pull those moves often and all the time, and it's just freakish. And the idea, if you're wondering how Anne ever got here, the woman I referenced in the past, who is one of the worst spies in U.S. history, she got herself installed. She got a law degree from Catholic University, supposedly. She was in the DIA and the FBI and wrecked everything. She's only been in prison for 10 years and out. It is because of that very behavior on their part. That's how she got here. That's how they all get here. I mean, the woman that I was forced to take care of for 2 semesters at Luther College, she was disgusting and had people raped and beaten and stolen from everybody and masturbating in public. She'd clearly come over in one of their ships. A lot of times they do come over in submarines because those are easier for them to hide. So it's scary. It's scary, scary stuff. But that's how they're getting here and coming illegally and being so hostile. So stop thinking in the mindset of these people are just behaviorally disordered. Yeah, they are, probably because they came from another country where they were raised to be that way. And kind of recognize what you're actually dealing with. Because the behaviors of people from those different groups who have been trained to come here and fight with everyone and start fights and even pretend like they have a job in a restaurant or some other place and just want to take everything over for foreign government is very, very real. It's not a lie at all, and it really isn't covert. It's pretty obviously hostile. And I learned to recognize a long time ago and just kind of moved on with my life because I realized what was actually really happening. And it's scary. It's not fun. It's not a fun thing to think about. It's uncomfortable, but it's the reality. This week, as most people probably already know, Kevin McCarthy is out. He's a representative from California as Speaker of the U.S. House. All I'm going to say about him is I am actually relieved he is gone. And I will tell you why. Over 10 years ago, when I was still active in the GOP and I was in the Young Republicans groups out in the D.C. area, we had him in for an event, and he came and literally started yelling at us and told us that if people asked us to work for free, and he meant anyone, that we were supposed to do it. Well, he's part of the California legislature and their lobby, and he had taken a very aggressive stance of lobbying for who? Now in his district, Hollywood. He was actually lobbying for the actual agency that had trafficked myself and all these other people and frankly killed a lot of people. And frankly, the other major agency that's been a problem. So when you start to ask yourself, why is Rose McGowan and all these women so upset? Why is it not always trying to make sense? Well, you have to understand that there's this larger political structure that goes into both parties there. Because McCarthy had support in both the Democratic and Republican Party. How he became speaker is terrifying because there's so many people who didn't want him as speaker, and he made it anyways. And we all knew over 10 years ago that he was going to make it to that position. It's really, really scary that he got there. By the way, the fact that Nancy Pelosi was given an adjunct office space there, and he claimed that it was a constant tradition that had been passed on. No, it's not. It's not a constant tradition. It's not something that's always been offered to former speakers. And Nancy Pelosi was hated by a lot of people in both parties who wanted her out. Frankly, I think if anything, the Democratic Party might have wanted him out simply because he was letting her stay and they wanted her gone because she was actually bad for them. Never mind that there's always the word extremists in the Republican Party who would want to fundraise off of keeping her around, but that doesn't even make sense as a theory. The reality, it was just pure the system has gone wrong, things aren't working right, this guy needed to be got rid of, and everyone needed to be kind of scared because his group, notably that he was supported by a number of Iowa legislators who are not good on labor issues, who have not been good for the American people at large, and who are not good when it comes to trafficking issues, that supported that disgusting network out in California that traffics so many people related to those two major Hollywood agencies. You have to remember that that's actually happening, that he was part of the California legislature. I know he's still in office technically in California, but he does not have the same amount of power that he used to have. And we are done with him. I mean, everybody is. This has just been too crazy. I don't care if you're somebody who's crazy about Trump or if you're crazy about Biden. That's not the issue. The problem was the overt corruption, the fact that he addressed groups. He hated the Young Republicans as a group because we stood nationally against labor trafficking and stood for people's civil rights in general. I know it's confusing, but that's the reality. We were all about trying to find regular legal employment back in those days and sick of whatever was going on. And he was not somebody who was supportive of that. He was very hostile to us. You need to know that. I actually told somebody this week who worked in government relations at a very high level company. I just said he was a complete a-hole and I'm not sorry he's gone. And I didn't realize any of us were supposed to feel bad because some wealthy man who clearly had no problem exploiting people is out of a job. And I'm not saying that to support the Democrats or the Republicans. I'm saying that's how it is. That's what's up. Let's get on with this. So I think we've gotten through some of the really tough parts of the show now. I covered that. Also, I just took enough of vacation to decide I don't want to make shows as long as I did. I think we got it. Yeah, I think this thing with California set to lose legislators, some of their big people being disempowered or gone, it's all good news. It's all good news. I mean, nobody really likes having to pick a new Speaker of the House, but I, I think it's only up from here, people, really. Notably, Kanye West has come out in public and thinks that Cardi B is being replaced. Let's see, has been sent from the Illuminati to replace Nikki Minaj. So Nikki Minaj is being replaced by Illuminati with Cardi B. Okay, I'm going to tell you the real truth. It's not the Illuminati. Cardi B is part of the Russian mafia. And you can tell all this by the makeup and the hair and everything that's fake. I think even a lot of her body, there's like padding and structuring. I don't know how much of this person's body and face is even real. And I know that also because there was some stuff that she had like through their network where I was trafficked that she took. So that's how I know. But the point is that she's another chick for the KGB FSB. And that's why she goes on stage and dances around with her tampon out and likes to disgust people. But if it's easier to say she's with the Illuminati, discredit her, then just say that. Okay? Got to move on. Drake is planning to take a break from music because of health reasons. It's a good idea because he got attacked this year and says it's his stomach, but I kind of think he might be in trouble for some stuff that he's yanked from people he didn't pay for. Oh, okay, now we're going to go into this really weird stuff. So let's talk about Taylor Swift because she's getting some media to an extent. Mostly she's getting memes with people making fun of her, but I took more time to look at it. She's a complete lunatic. I saw one of her recent award show appearances where she got up on stage and complained and complained and complained about how her artistry had been stolen and her artwork had been taken and she was a great artist and all of her stuff had been taken from her. And this Scooter person was so horrible because he bought all of her music and he didn't buy it from her. And how could that happen to her? And she was so angry. We're really getting a view of who Taylor Swift really is as a person. And she's not a nice person. We're really starting to see how incredibly spoiled she is. I hope she sees the shows and she hears the truth about herself because I was one of the people that she had trafficked and took material from. I've written some of her songs and didn't get paid for them. And I am telling you right now, Buffalo Bill is one of her dudes. She also had that crazy woman that I was stuck talking to that I told you about previously, who was posing as a therapist and trafficking people out of place. She trafficked people for like 30 years starting in Iowa. Her original name in Iowa is an alias. Her real name there, or quote unquote real name there, but her first alias was as Mrs. Kramer. She posed as a school teacher and she set up a bunch of kids to be trafficked. She spent over 30 years pretending to work in Hollywood as a screenwriter and a lyricist and a pop song performer, singer, movie, music maker, whatever. Incredibly weird person. Used to threaten to kill me, demanded that I give her things for free, give her the work for free, was part of having me injured. Literally driven out of her quote unquote fake practice in Arlington, but not soon enough, and was responsible for trafficking multiple people in the area and multiple women. And I saw two of those women down at the hospital in Charlottesville before they died, both missing limbs and had permanent neurological brain injuries. Okay. And it's important to understand that she said disgusting things to me, like when I asked to be paid. This is the weird old crazy lady pretending to be a therapist, but she was part of the fake front church that I'd had problems with that had my mother murdered and trafficked her. And she was also somebody who said stupid things like, no, I don't want to when it came to paying me for work, and said that she would get me Kendrick as a husband. Well, Kendrick is a rapist and a murderer and somebody I don't want anything to do with. And I don't want to buy anyone and I don't want to be trafficked. So she was stupid enough to threaten to kill people. And when that didn't work, she'd try to set them up to make it look like they were some kind of weird trafficker. And clearly the person just wanted the hell away from meeting me, which is what I did. I got her into trouble. I eventually got an entire operation put together so she couldn't do what she wanted to anymore. But this is why the DOJ came to the point of, and one of the lawyers, as I explained back in the spring, who was a very bright man who really didn't need to donate his time to working on these cases for the DOJ, but he did, said, they're very clearly Russian mafia and they will be mocked. And that's what's happening to Taylor Swift these days. She goes to a football game, pretends she wants to see Travis Kelce. We've already got material that she's out dating some other guy in the Major League Baseball. And, they ran promos of her concerts and the whole crowd started booing her and hissing because they don't want to see her anymore. That's the reality about Taylor Swift. She's not popular. I only know one person who jokingly said they were going to go to her show this year. And that person was actually like saying they were going to go just to see what in the world she's doing. It's kind of like how they were supposed to be in this super successful movie over the summer. They only know two women from the U.S. who went to see, and they're both Russian American women. So it's clearly aimed at their cultural ideas, and unfortunately, maybe meaning that they're like part of the Russian mafia. And the other two, one was a policy announced in Ukraine, the other one's the daughter of a major U.S. general. So you're kind of looking at this as from the angle that the only people who went were people who were actually pro-Russia or people who were like trying to figure out how to do something different with Russia and China, just to get information on how they're trying to set us up, sitting with their notebooks, like taking notes on whatever it is these people are trying to come up with next, whatever kind of weird messages they're planning in films. It's kind of important to know what's going on because 60 to 70% of Americans now don't go to see movies anymore because of it, because they're sick of it and they know what's going on. So that's kind of important to know. As far as the rest of it goes, the point about Taylor Swift is if you look at her shows, she doesn't actually play guitar or even piano. If you've ever been to any amusement park and you've seen like the toy bears playing guitar or the pianos that play themselves, that's all it is with her. Very, very expensive show put together for her to do work for the FSB basically here in the US. And that's why the NFL has actually been ripping on her so hard and playing over her shows. And there's been all these weird events where people are just booing and hissing at her. And frankly, that's all you're going to want to do if you're an American citizen if you see her, because I can't think of anybody who'd go to see her stuff. Not legitimately. I ran to one woman this year. This is a weird side story, but I got up here to Michigan and she started running this yard sale where she was giving away things for like 10 cents, 50 cents, a dollar. And I stopped to talk with her because I've been a mandated reporter in the past. So I want to make sure she was okay because she was selling her stuff so cheap. And she told me she was thinking about putting money together to go see the Taylor Swift experience here in Michigan. And she was high as a kite. I finally talked to some other people later that said they think the problem is that she's a drug addict. So they think she was just selling all of her stuff to get drugs or go see Taylor Swift. I'm not sure which one, or go to a show about Taylor Swift, but wasn't actually a Taylor Swift concert. It was hilariously bad. And at the same time, it was kind of sad because I really did take time to talk to her to make sure she didn't need assistance. So that's kind of where I'm at. And that's where most people need to be when they run into those kinds of behaviors, especially when it comes to Taylor Swift or drugs. Anyways, which might be the same thing as far as I can tell. So, but that's what's up. Taylor Swift is literally going to be mocked. And as far as her material being just taken from her and her being a victim, she's not a victim. She's had a lot of people injured and hurt, people losing arms and legs, people's entire lives destroyed. I can go to nursing school or medical school because of this stupid stuff, There's no point into it. There's no point the rest of us being told we're not allowed to work a job or have regular employment because Taylor Swift is some kind of raging psychopath lunatic in with the Russian mafia here in the U.S. who needs to be told to leave, frankly. But if she wants to go to shows and expect people to feel sorry for her, that's never going to happen here because there's two people who know how she is. And there's several different world governments that know about how much material she's stolen. And that's actually why she lost her music catalog, just so you know. I'm going to go ahead and sing Mariah Carey's My All now. I'm thinking of you in my sleepless solitude tonight. If it's wrong to love you, then my heart just won't let me be right. 'Cause I've drowned in you and I won't pull through without you by my side. I'd give my all to have just one more night with you. I'd risk my life to feel your body next to mine. 'Cause I can't go on living in the memory of our song. I'd give my all your love tonight. Baby, can you feel me? Imagining I'm looking in your eyes, I can see you clearly, vividly emblazoned in my mind. And yet you're so far, like a distant star I'm wishing on tonight. I'd give my all to have just one more night with you. I'd risk my life to feel your body next to mine. 'Cause I can't go on living in the memory of our song. I'd give my all for your love tonight. I'd give my all to have just one more night with you. I'd risk my life to feel your body next to mine. 'Cause I can't go on living in the memory of our song. I'd give my all for your love tonight. Give my all for your love tonight. Tonight. And that is the thought project just for today. And just so you know, and there'll be more episodes. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you enjoy the coming weekend here in the US.